Hi everybody, this is Claire from MyRaces.Live. In the previous episode, we talked about how to get the best internet connection at the racetrack and how it varies based on where you go racing. In this episode, we're going to talk about what live streaming settings you can use and how to adjust them so that you can make the most of your internet connection, whether it's bad, good, or excellent. So what are those live streaming settings? The three main common live streaming settings that are accessible and adjustable in almost all live encoders are the resolution, the FPS, or the frame per second, and the bitrate. Some live encoders, more modern ones, also give you the option to choose the encoding type. Let's start to talk about the encoding type and why it matters. The encoding type is basically the compression algorithm that's going to be used by your live encoder to compress all the raw video from the camera into a lightweight digital format before it's sent to the internet. The older your live encoder is, the most likely it only supports a single encoding type, which is H.264. More modern live streaming equipment now supports H.265 or HEVC, high efficiency video coding. The main difference between H.265 and H.264 is that H.265 is almost twice as efficient in compressing your live video than H.264 is. That means that H.265 can deliver the same visual quality as H.264 for roughly half of the transfer speed. So if your live encoder support both H.264 and H.265, use H.265. There are only two reasons why you may not want to use H.265. The first reason being if your streaming platform on the other side does not support to decode H.265, in which case you have to stick with H.264 as well on your live encoder. MyRaces.Live supports H.265, so you can absolutely send us H.265, or if you're streaming directly to YouTube, YouTube also supports H.265. The other reason why you may prefer to stick with H.264 is if your live streaming equipment tends to overheat inside your race car. H.265 does work harder to provide more compression for your video, so it will consume more CPU and create more heat in your device in general. So if you have problem with overheating equipment, maybe also stick with H.264. The next settings I want to talk about is the resolution. It's a much more common setting to know about. It basically defines how sharp or pixelated you want your video to look like on small, medium, or large screens. If you choose a resolution of 480p, it's gonna look pretty fine on a mobile phone or your laptop, but it's gonna start looking a bit blurry if you put it in full screen on your laptop or if you put it on a bigger TV screen. A resolution of 720p is gonna look good on both your laptop and your TV. And then the highest resolution you can usually select on live streaming equipment is 1080p, which is gonna look amazing on larger screens and look very professional. Choosing the resolution for your live stream is also depending on your internet connection. If you don't want to start changing your resolution everywhere you go, using a resolution of 720p is a really good baseline. If you want your stream to look more professional and you have the network bandwidth to do so, increasing your stream to 1080p is going to make your stream look amazing. And on the contrary, if you go to racetrack where the network connection is not very good, trying to decrease your resolution to 480p may really help with a choppy stream, even though you lose a bit of sharpness and details. If you have a bad internet connection, it's more interesting to compromise on the sharpness of the image and to prioritize the smoothness of your stream, and it's much more enjoyable to watch. Now let's talk about the frame per second setting, so FPS. Your typical options for the FPS is 30 or 60. This is going to define the refresh rates of your images and how smooth moving objects are gonna look like in your video. Our recommendation is to start with 30 FPS because it's smooth to the human eyes and it's gonna look good without consuming too much bandwidth. If you have a really good internet connection, you can increase it to 60 FPS to make your stream looks even smoother. And then if you have a bad internet connection, I would always first try to decrease my resolution to 480p before I decrease my FPS. But if your stream is still struggling at 480p, you can try to also reduce your FPS to 20. I would never go lower than 20 though. Finally, let's talk about the bitrate. The bitrate is very, very important to understand. You basically want to use that settings to tell your live encoder how much bandwidth is available from the network and how much compression your live encoder should do on your video before sending it out. When you set a very high bitrate, you basically tell your encoder you have infinite bandwidth and you don't need to do much compression at all, so send the video out as rapidly as possible with the resolution and FPS that I set. If you set a very low bitrate, you tell your live encoder that your internet connection is pretty poor and it should try to compress as much as possible the video before sending it out. The value of your bitrate is going to follow the value of the resolution and the FPS that you set. If you've set very high resolution and FPS, you will have to increase your bitrate, and vice versa. If you selected a very low resolution and FPS, then you can decrease your bitrate accordingly. What bitrates should you use based on the resolution, FPS, and encoding type is available in the MyRaces.Live documentation or also inside the portal, or you can simply do a quick Google search. Simply ask Google the recommended bitrate for the resolution, FPS, and encoding type that you are using. If you are using our baseline settings, which is 720p at 30 frames per second with H.265, we recommend setting the bitrate to 2500 kbps. The bitrate value is either expressed in kilobit per second or megabit per second. Make sure it's clear which units your live streaming equipment is using, and make sure you're not missing or you have added extra zeros. If you are using a Mine5 live streaming camera, you can find all the live streaming settings that I talked about using the touchscreen. You can click on the gear icon in the touchscreen to go to the main settings and then click on VENC and then live. In that part of the menu, you can change the resolution, the bitrate, the frame rate, as well as the encoding type. You'll notice one of the settings is called bitrate type. You can leave that bitrate type to CBR. That's usually the preferred bitrate for any streaming platform. Don't forget to click confirm on the top right of the screen to apply the changes. With the Mine5 camera, you can make adjustments to your stream settings even if the car is already on the track, and you can do so using the camera application called MLive. You can monitor the quality, sharpness, smoothness, and buffering of your live stream in different ways. If you are sending the video to MyRaces.Live, you can use the Monitor Health dashboard to see how much data the camera is able to send to the streaming platform and make adjustments based on that. If you are sending your stream to YouTube, you can use YouTube Studio to monitor the quality of your stream. And if you are using Twitch, they also have a dashboard to monitor the quality of the stream being received. Thanks for watching, I hope you find it interesting, and I'll see you in the next episode.